Welcome in everybody to Fantasy Pros. This is the Fantasy Football Podcast. It is me, Joey P, Joe Pisapia, and today we're going to have some fun. That's right, there's some big names on the free agent NFL wire, and the boys here today are going to make some bold predictions of where they might land. No tampering is going on. I just want everybody to know, please keep all of your legalese to yourselves. Don't hire lawyers. Don't send anybody at us, because we're just having fun here, and I'm going to decide which one of the landing spots the guys choose is better for these athletes. And of course, speaking of big names, Pat Fitzmaurice is with us. Andrew Erickson is with us today to break the names down and where the landing spots might be. And gentlemen, it is great to see you as always. Pat Fitzmaurice, you and I did not go to the NFL Combine. So what did you do? What was your NFL Combine watch experience like? Was it on the couch? Was it at a local watering hole? What was the Pat Fitzmaurice experience of the Combine?
It was on the couch all day Saturday. My wife was forewarned that I was going to be completely inert on Saturday, so it was me on the couch with my dog on the ottoman in front of me. So, yeah, it was I was pretty immobilized on Saturday, Joe. Just put it that way.
Well, inert was a great, again, you come for the football, you stay for the vocab here on the program. Andrew Erickson, obviously that was not your experience. What was it like bunking with Debro, though? For 3 straight days? That's the real question.
It was a lot of fun. It was a good time. I will say, though, I hate Debro's ringtone on his phone. It's this NFL jingle, and I don't know why he has it as his ringtone, but it is super annoying. And I told him multiple times, this is the worst ringtone you could possibly have. You could just have the default Apple alarm. That's what he should do, but instead it's this NFL jingle, and I can't stand it.
What NFL jingle? Like we're talking the CBS or the NBC ones, like for Sunday Night Football, or like...
I've tried to remove it from my brain as best I can. So
was it?
He'll have to play it for you. No, it's not. I don't.
No, it's not.
Maybe it's that. It's definitely not the draft one where it's like da 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 da, or even the pick is in that draft one too. I think it might be the one you said.
ESPN one, I believe.
Yeah,
I think,
but like I said, I tried to remove it from my brain because.
Well, I'm gonna call Derek Brown when you guys are over my house just from the other room, just to piss you off. All right, let's get to the names here on the list and have some fun here. Again, make sure you subscribe to the channel here. This year, our goal is to get to 300,000 subscribers, and of course, we got amazing NFL content going on for the draft, for Dynasty. Tons of Dynasty shows coming at you right now. And of course, the NFL Draft mock draft shows are happening too. We'll also be live here for the NFL Draft as well in April. So again, ring the bell till it goes ding. Subscribe to the channel, like the video too. And of course, drop your predictions below as we go through ours. Let's start at the top. Again, we got 20 guys. And actually, when we started recording this, we might have 1 or 2 bonus guys because more news continues to drop. Again, no tampering. It's not happening. Don't worry. Everything here we're doing is legal today. Let's start with Davante Adams. So the real question is, gentlemen, is Davante Adams sick of chasing his old friends at quarterback? Is it time maybe for Davante to grow up and realize that he could play with guys that maybe aren't his bestest friends in the world? Let's start with you, Pat Fitzmaurice. Davante Adams lands where when the free agent dust settles?
Yeah, I'm going to change this up. I had a different answer at first, Joe, but I am going to make it the Green Bay Packers. Davante Adams going back. They're currently the betting favorites to acquire Davante Adams plus 190, last I checked on DraftKings, and it makes some sense. The Packers have gone from seemingly flush at wide receiver to having a big need there with Christian Watson tearing his ACL last year. Didn't really get a step up from Jaden Reed, didn't get a step up from Dontavian Wicks. So outside receiver help makes sense for the Packers. He's obviously familiar with Green Bay, left on good terms, and that would free up the Packers in the draft to address some other needs, cornerback, edge rusher, maybe offensive line. Davante to Green Bay.
All right, Davante to Green Bay, I like. It is kind of ironic, right? Last year, we're like, oh, there's so many wide receivers. There won't be enough targets for everybody. We could barely get a wide receiver to get a target, it felt like, by the end of the year. Davante Adams, Andrew Erickson, where's the landing spot where he goes?
Well, he's not going to be chasing his quarterbacks anymore. He's been burned by this twice. I'm going to go play with Derek Carr. It's going to be great. Going to go to the Jets. Going to play with Aaron Rodgers. No. So he's like, you know what? I want to live on the West Coast. That's where I'm from. That's where I want to go. The reports have said that is something he's taking into consideration. I want to be on the West Coast. So I'm projecting him to go to the San Francisco 49ers. They now have a need at wide receiver given they just traded away Deebo Samuel. Brandon Ayuk is injured and is also on the trade block. And there's a coaching familiarity with it. LaFleur, Kyle Shanahan, somewhat similar schemes offensively, so I don't think it's a system where he could be dropped in and not have any idea what he's doing. there's also some familiarity with the offensive coordinator, or the former Raiders OC, Mick Lombardi, is the current quarterbacks coach for the San Francisco 49ers. So if he wants to get a ring, what better team to go to than the San Francisco 49ers, who have been knocking on the door of the NFC Championship game basically most of the past couple seasons. So that's my pick, is the 49ers.
They were knocking pretty faintly last year.
Well, they were all injured last year, so... But we knew that ahead of time. We knew that was going to happen.
I'll say this. I think it's going to be very difficult to trade away, or should I say trade away Brandon Ayuk. I just, off the injury, I think that's a tall order. So I think they just have no choice but to wait for him to get healthy there. And I'm a sentimental guy. So I kind of like Pat Fitzmaurice, your choice of the reunion at Green Bay. So 1 point goes to Gryffindor.
Yes.
I don't know. Erickson, you seem like a Hufflepuff to me. I know you're not a Harry Potter guy,
No.
so...
That is not true.
Are
I
you
like
a
Harry Potter.
All
I mean,
right.
what defines a Harry Potter person? Like, oh, I've seen the movie. I've read the books. Like, I feel like half the people that claim they're Harry Potter people haven't even read the books.
Well, I've read all of the books more than once. So a question for you,
legit.
what is your house? So, I mean, are you a Gryffindor?
I'm Gryffindor, obviously.
You are. All right, so Fitzy, maybe you're a little Slytherin there on the back end. Maybe
I have an evil streak, Joe.
Yeah,
I got to be a
I know,
Slytherin.
because that's my house too. All right, so 1 point to Pat Fitzmaurice here. Let's move on to the next landing spot here in the predictions. We're having fun today. Today's a fun show. If you don't like fun, well, then I don't know what to tell you. Chris Godwin, now on the free agent block, also coming off of an injury situation here. Erickson, let's start with you. Chris Godwin, what do you have for a landing spot for him in 2025?
I think he's going to go back to the Buccaneers. I mean, he has been willing to adjust his contract to give them more time to work on a long-term deal. We saw something with that. So something in his contract doesn't void until March 12th, I think, or March 14th. So basically giving the Buccaneers as much time as possible to negotiate a long-term deal. Obviously, they didn't franchise tag him, but he was absolutely cooking in this offense last year. Now, I know Cohen's not there anymore, but I think that he still really likes Baker Mayfield. The GM, the head coach, Todd Bowles, have talked about that they love Chris Godwin, and he's also coming off an injury. So are other teams going to be so aggressive trying to get Chris Godwin when they don't have access like the Buccaneers do to his injury? He's a bit of an older receiver. He's been injured before. So I think there might be some hesitance with some other of these teams where Tampa Bay knows exactly what they're working with. So last year we thought Mike Evans might leave. What did he do? He came back to Tampa Bay. I think it's going to be the exact same thing with Chris Godwin returning.
Well, breaking news here, just as we were doing the show, DK Metcalf has officially requested a trade from Seattle, by the way. So it looks like, who knows, maybe Seattle could be looking for some wide receivers. I don't know if this changes anybody's Chris Godwin take. More on that in a second here. Pat Fitzmaurice, Chris Godwin. It's tough because market value coming off an injury is not ideal. So does Godwin find a new home, or does he have to go back to Tampa?
I'm going to say he finds a new home, Joe. Let's put him in New England. The Patriots have been rumored as a potential suitor for Godwin, and the Pats have more money to spend under the cap than anyone else. They probably will not have to break the bank because Godwin is coming off the injury. So I think he ends up in New England. Patriots really do need a massive overhaul of their wide receiver core, and they can't do it through the draft alone. The rookie receiver class just isn't that good, and there are not many good slot receivers in this class. With the Patriots and their big bankroll, Joe, this is one of the ways they're going to spend it. Chris Godwin and the Pats.
I don't hate it. As a Patriots fan, I definitely don't hate it. Again, I just want younger guys. I want explosive guys. I want guys that are not looking towards the end of their career. And I feel like Godwin might be closer to that. I'm not saying he's done, but man, I feel like the Patriots need to continue to build with the youth. I will take umbrage. I don't think it's an elite wide receiver class, but there's definitely some guys there. There's definitely some dudes that I feel pretty good about maybe in the second round getting a value there. So I'm going to go with Andrew Erickson. I just think the market might not be as big for him as people realize. My only concern is they like Jalen McMillan and Fitzy. I know you and I talked about that too, but look, you have to consider the Mike Evans age too, and where he's at in his career. I know he had a great season again last year, but how many times can he continue to do it? Eventually luck's got to run out here. So point for Andrew Erickson here on this one. Next one here, Sam Darnold. Score is tied 1-1. Sam Darnold, big quarterback season for him. Didn't end, unfortunately, the way he wanted to, kind of a sour note. So, Fitzy, Sam Darnold, 2025 landing spot. Sell me.
This is a tough one. It's hard to find a good fit for Darnold. Let's put him on the Tennessee Titans. And my only reasoning for this is that we keep hearing the Titans are interested in trading the number one pick in the draft. That seems strange for a team that doesn't have a viable starting quarterback on the roster. And no, Will Levis is not a viable starting quarterback. If you have avoided QB and you're picking first, you take a quarterback unless it's such a bad class that someone like Kenny Pickett is the number one quarterback, which is what we saw 3 years ago. Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders are much better prospects than Kenny Pickett was. But if the Titans aren't sold on those guys, they can trade the pick, sign Darnold to a 1 or 2 year deal, and kick the quarterback can down the road for another year. Signing Darnold would also kind of signal that the Titans are open for business with the number one pick in the draft.
Interesting way to go. The Titans do need a lot of help, so getting more picks would be a good way to kind of replenish that roster. Andrew Erickson, what are your thoughts on Sam Darnold?
I'm going to go with the Raiders. He's going to reunite, again, USC Trojan connection, Pete Carroll. That's where Sam Darnold went to school, was USC. So you have that kind of bloodline connection going on. And you look at the Raiders.
At the same time. Can we just?
It doesn't matter. You're USC for life, watching? Baby. USC for life.
Okay.
Yeah, USC for life.
Until you go to the transfer portal. Yeah. Okay.
Go Trojans. Until you go to the transfer portal.
There's no college for life anymore. That doesn't exist. The transfer portal has killed that. But
the other thing is John Spytek is the new Raiders general manager, and he's been Tampa Bay as an assistant GM for the last couple of years. He was there with Tampa Bay when they brought in Baker Mayfield, a guy that was highly looked at coming out of the NFL draft, a top 3 NFL draft pick, got written off. Starts to show, okay, maybe I can play a little bit. So they've been down this retread before, and he's seen it work successfully in Tampa Bay. And so Spytek also spent time, obviously, with Tampa Bay with Todd Bowles, and Todd Bowles was with the Jets when they drafted Sam Darnold in the first round. So if there's anyone that can give him a good read on the type of character, the type of person Sam Darnold is, it could be Todd Bowles. So for those reasons, some connections, I like Darnold landing with the Las Vegas Raiders, who obviously have a major need at quarterback.
Yeah, look, they certainly need a major need at quarterback. I think it would be a smart signing for them. Still don't know about Darnold and Pete Carroll together. Plus, I don't know. I think they want a little bit of edge and flair. And I don't think Sam Darnold had either of those things enough to play in Las Vegas. So I'm going to go with Fitzy here on this one here. Give me the Titans in this big rebuild one. I like this. I think that's a very clever way to put it.
I knew PayPaling you before the show was going to pay off, Joe. Really glad I did that.
It never hurts. All right, let's get to the next guy on our major free agent list here in the NFL. Another quarterback, Russell Wilson. All right, so Erickson, you get first crack at Russell Wilson. Where does Russell Wilson take his skills or whatever's left of them in 2025?
He's going to go to the New York Giants. Infamously, last year, he actually took his private jet to New York to potentially sign with the Giants last offseason. That didn't work out. But they need a veteran quarterback. They need a bridge quarterback to pair with whatever rookie they end up drafting. And I think that when you're looking at the potential bridge quarterbacks, it's Wilson, it's Aaron Rodgers, and which guy has way less drama? It's Russell Wilson. So I think that they'll go the less dramatic route.
I think the key is less drama. I think Russ has a little bit of drama sometimes around him. What's the catchphrase, though, in New York? Time to take a bite out of the apple? Like, what does he do? Like, he's got to have something like that, right?
He just does Apple commercials.
All right, Fitzy, Russell Wilson, he did, at times play well for the Pittsburgh Steelers, but we all know the warts of Wilson at this stage in his career. Where does he land in 2025?
Well, Joe, you just rejected the idea of Sam Darnold going to Las Vegas. I know it seems far-fetched, but I think we could get a Russell Wilson-Pete Carroll reunion in Las Vegas. They weren't necessarily on the best terms during the end of their time together in Seattle, but that marriage did work pretty well for a while. Maybe Russ and Pete can set aside any differences for one last run together. The Raiders may or may not be able to draft Shedeur Sanders at number 6. Maybe they don't want to draft Shedeur at number 6, but even if they do draft Shedeur, the Raiders could use a veteran bridge quarterback who isn't going to cost them a fortune. Russell Wilson seems like he's a pretty logical choice as sort of a stopgap for them.
I got to say, people are going to say, oh, Joe's just scoring them back and forth or whatever, but I'm not. I'm legitimately not. I feel like that's a tough sell. Maybe they've said, oh, you know what, we should get back together because, look, we were together and we were all happy. Things were good. We were going to Super Bowls, but this is the NFL. This is, although I like the homecoming story for the Hallmark movie of Davante Adams, I just don't think the Hallmark story here lands. But the Giants are kind of a tough sell too. I don't know. You know what? I'm going to say no points. I don't like either of these landing spots.
So what team is he going to go to then?
What
other
team is he
team?
going to go to
The Titans?
then? I could see the Titans as they groom a quarterback. Yeah, on a 1-year deal. I actually don't think that's a bad idea. Titans would be a decent one there. And look, I wouldn't necessarily rule out him going back to the Steelers, to be honest with you.
He's not going back to the Steelers.
I don't know, man.
They're done.
I don't think he should. Well, I'm not sold they're going with Fields, to tell you the truth.
Then you're going to hate our answers.
If they were going with Fields, then last year was completely stupid and for nothing. Because if you're going with Fields, you take that entire year to rebuild everything around him, to let him really command the offense so you can go this year and compete. Not to, have him start 6 games and then pull him and let Russell Wilson play. If that's true, then bad job by the Pittsburgh Steelers. Horrendous job there. All right. Speaking of Pittsburgh Steelers, how about Najee Harris? Let's talk about him for a second here. Let's see. Fitzy, why don't you go first here? Najee Harris, give me the landing spot for him because it's probably not going to be Pittsburgh.
I don't think the Raiders are going to roll into the season with Sincere McCormick as their lead back. Let's put him in the Raiders. Can't you just picture Najee wearing a Raiders uniform? I think I can.
I could.
Najee to Las Vegas.
Najee to Las Vegas. Erickson, you have a better landing spot than Vegas? Vegas isn't bad.
No, Vegas is not bad. That definitely would have been my second pick, but I'm going to go to another AFC West team. I'm going to go to the Los Angeles Chargers. Looking back at Jim Harbaugh, former head coach of Michigan, he heavily recruited Najee Harris when Najee Harris was coming out. Obviously, he lost to him to going to Alabama, but I was reading some of the clippings with Harbaugh and how he talked about Najee Harris. He was obsessed with this guy. Like he really wanted him to come to Michigan. So that ended up being the case, but now he gets a second chance to be able to coach Najee Harris. And we know what the Chargers want to do in a Greg Roman offense. They want to run the football. And Najee's hard-nosed running style, I think, fits what they're trying to look for. They can compare him with another running back. And, yeah, so we'll see if Harbaugh still feels the same way about – and J.K. Dobbins is also a free agent.
It's tough because it really is a good running back class. I could see the Raiders even taking Genty and then figuring out some sort of veteran quarterback situation. That would not shock me at all, to tell you the truth. But I am with you, Erickson, on this one. I do think the veteran coach wants the veteran running back in there. They went to the playoffs last year. They got their butt kicked in the playoffs last year. They want somebody reliable, and Najee's that, and a much better offensive line situation, I think, for him too. So that would be a big step up. So point to Andrew Erickson on that one. Before we get to the next guy on our list, a big-time wide receiver, remember, this is NBA season, and there's plenty of new ways to get in on the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL and the NBA. And if you're ready to place your first bet, try betting on something simple like picking how many points your favorite player will have. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app and make your pick. You can take it to the rack with DraftKings Sportsbook. Every point counts. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app today. Use that promo code FantasyPros. That's FantasyPros for new customers, and you get $150 in bonus bets when you bet just $5 only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Next up on our list is Keenan Allen, who had a good year last year. People were not enamored of the landing spot, turned out to be pretty decent, arguably the best of the 3 wide receivers there. So Andrew Erickson, Keenan Allen is where in 2025?
Well, I had him going to the Raiders because their new wide receiver coach is Chris Betty, and he was the receiver coach for the Bears last year when Keenan Allen got traded to the Bears. He was also with the Chargers the 3 years before that. So I like that connection. But I don't like it as much now, and you're not going to pick mine because Tyler Lockett was released, and he's going to be a Las Vegas Raider. So at this time, I'm put on the spot. I don't have a good answer, but I'll roll with the Raiders because that was my original one. But I will not be surprised if I'm wrong and if you don't pick me.
I don't know, man. I mean, I think Keenan Allen's got more left in the tank than Tyler Lockett, personally. I mean, I would rather have Keenan Allen. So don't discount yourself yet, Erickson. Let's see how good or bad Fitzy's choice is. Go ahead, Pat. Keenan Allen is where?
Keenan Allen replaces Cooper Kupp as the veteran slot receiver in Sean McVay's offense with the Rams. McVay and Stafford get a savvy veteran who will be able to pick up the offense quickly, and Keenan Allen gets to go back to California after playing his college ball at Cal and spending 11 years with the Chargers. So Keenan Allen is back in sunny Southern California.
Does he still have a house in LA? That's the question.
Good question.
If he does, I bet he does. I bet he knew that Chicago situation would be 1 year. We're going to wait. Keep the family at home because, look, same building, going back home. Sorry, Andrew. Fitzy got this one here. Keenan Allen to the Rams makes a whole lot of sense there, and he does not have to be the alpha dog. He just has to hang out and catch some balls whenever Puka Nacua is either hurt or Puka Nacua, is not the intended target on the play. So I like Keenan Allen going there. Justin Fields is next. And you already warned me I'm not going to like this. And we'll see. Let's see what you guys have, because clearly you've already spoiled it. You both think he's going to end up on the Steelers. So let's hear the reasons why and see if you can convince me. And if you do a good job, I'll give each of you a point. Go ahead, Fitzy.
All right, so the Steelers are not exactly well positioned to get their choice of quarterbacks in the draft. They're going to keep one of Wilson or Fields. And yeah, I know ultimately they did sit Fields in favor of Wilson, but Fields was actually decent for the Steelers last year. And count me among the dwindling number of people who still think Justin Fields can be a quality NFL starter.
Okay, dwindling away. Andrew Erickson, is your faith dwindling in Fields, and where does he land?
He's also going to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. They've been telling us this for months, and the Steelers tend to not hold things really close to the vest. They are like an open book. A couple years ago, they're like, yeah, we're going to draft Najee Harris, and that's exactly what they did. Oh, we're going to draft Kenny Pickett, and that's exactly what they did. So it's been out for the last couple of months that they prefer Fields over Wilson, so that's what I think is also going to happen. And to play a little 3D, 4D chess here, Joe, maybe they decided to not play Fields because, well, if Fields balls out in our offense, then we're going to have to pay him more money. He's going to generate a larger deal on the open market. So now we can get him back for cheap, competing with the New York Jets of all teams for his services. And then we're going to look like even bigger geniuses for signing Justin Fields to a long-term deal at value. So there you go.
I love you, Andrew, but that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard you say. That is ridiculous. Hey, let's not be good in the NFL. All right? Let's just sneak in the playoffs, and let's not let this guy develop for an entire season. So next year, not only can we sign a good quarterback coming off a good year with more revenue because we're going to the playoffs and winning games in the playoffs. No. If I'm Justin Fields, I don't want to be there. You've already told me that you're looking around, give me side eye, looking for other options there. I think he takes his talents to the New York Jets. I think they're going to run the snot out of the football.
Because that's so much better.
I'll tell you this. If you ask me at this stage, is playing for Aaron Glenn not an intriguing thing if I'm a young NFL player? I think it is. I think Aaron Glenn is one of these guys that has a great reputation around the league, and people want to play for it. And I think people are looking at Mike Tomlin and all the stagnation in Pittsburgh over the last decade, and maybe have a different opinion. Maybe some of us old heads here have an inflated opinion of the Steelers, because I think the young kids don't have that same opinion. I think they're looking at, you look at Breece Hall, you look at Garrett Wilson, you look at what could be with that defense and the draft picks they have. I got to tell you, I think the Jets. So again, no points there. I like mine better. Next up, Aaron Jones. Now this one I think everybody's going to get a point on, because this is my landing spot, I believe, what you guys are going to say, because it just makes sense. Andrew Erickson. Where does Andrew Jones? I've been doing too many baseball shows. Where does Aaron Jones go? Not Hall of Fame potential center fielder for the Atlanta Braves, but running back from the Minnesota Vikings. Where does Aaron Jones go in 2025?
He's going to go back to the Vikings. I think that he's going to re-sign there. I do think that he's going to be joined by somebody else, either another veteran or a rookie running back, because I think that they realize they don't want to put him in a 300 touch pace like they did last year. He got banged up at the end, but he's still effective. He's efficient, but I think that he's going to be more of a part-time back, but I think he returns to the Vikings.
All right. Vikings, Fitzy?
I'm with Erickson. He played well for the Vikings last year. Aaron Jones fits Kevin O'Connell's system. It's probably not going to be all that expensive to bring him back. I just think Aaron Jones stays put in Minnesota.
Fitzy, Erickson, I agree. It just makes too much sense. It's a good marriage of convenience for everybody. Next up, J.K. Dobbins. This one's a little trickier. So Dobbins got off to a good start with the Chargers, and then things kind of unraveled a little bit. So Fitzy, where's J.K. Dobbins land this offseason?
I think a lot of these free agent veteran running backs are tricky, Joe, because I think the market is going to be really soft for these guys this year with the caliber of the running back class in the draft this year. Like, these guys are going to be hitting the free agent market hat in hand, looking to take whatever deal comes their way. All right, so J.K. Dobbins, maybe the Cowboys take Ashton Genty 12th overall, but there's no guarantee Genty's going to be around for them. The Bears could grab Genty at number 10, 2 spots ahead of Dallas. So the Cowboys signed J.K. Dobbins to be part of their new look running back group. Dobbins could be the starter, or he could be the primary backup to one of the top rookies. I do think the Cowboys draft a rookie at some point before day 3. it may or may not be Ashton Genty. I think they're going to get Dobbins to solidify themselves at the running back spot.
What a horrible consolation prize that is, going from Genty to Dobbins. Ugh, I don't know if I want to live in that timeline. Erickson, take me out of it.
Well, he's going to join his former Ohio State quarterback in Pittsburgh, Justin Fields. So I think J.K. Dobbins is going to go to the Steelers. They need to replace Najee Harris, and J.K. Dobbins should not be a bell cow. Like, he has shown that I can't play 17 games. Even last year, as good as he was, he ended up getting hurt towards the end of the season. But you pair him with another running back that I at least think is going to return to the Steelers. I think that he could be part of a great backfield and reunite with Justin Fields. So that's it for me.
You know, I think the Cowboys need to make a splash, and if it's not Genty, then I think it's somebody else in the second round, and it is a good running back class. So I'm going to think the Cowboys go somewhere else. But it does sound very Pittsburgh Steeler to go ahead and end up with J.K. Dobbins and somebody else, maybe bring back a Jaylen Warren or somebody else. We'll see. Last one in the top 10, and then we're going to go 11 through 20. Nick Chubb. All right, so again, tough to evaluate last year. Erickson, coming back from massive knee injury, and the team was terrible. So a really tough evaluation here for Nick Chubb. So where does he end up in 2025?
I think he's going to be a New England Patriot, and I absolutely hate it from a fantasy perspective, but this is me kind of connecting the dots. So Mary Kay Cabot has talked about, so she's a Browns reporter, she's talked about how the Browns are probably going to be moving away from Nick Chubb. You look at Mike Vrabel, new head coach of the Patriots. Where did he spend last year? He was a consultant with the Cleveland Browns. So I'm sure he saw the impact in the locker room that Nick Chubb could bring when he came back from that injury. And you just talk about how how teammates rally around Nick Chubb, even if he wasn't playing at 100%, even though he was coming back from that injury. He definitely saw that. And that was the biggest thing with the Patriots last year, just immaturity in the locker room, lack of people being accounted for, accountability. And I think bringing in a veteran like Nick Chubb with guys like Ramondre Stevenson, Antonio Gibson, who continuously put the ball on the ground, hey, get a veteran here that knows how to do it, that knows how to be a running back from a professional level. And the last point I'll make, Elliott Wolf, the de facto GM of the Patriots, he was the assistant GM for the Browns when they drafted Nick Chubb back in 2018. And it would make me so happy if the Patriots get Nick Chubb from a locker room presence. Kind of reminds me of the Austin Eckler move last year where the Commanders brought him in because they had a chance to draft Nick Chubb, but they said they drafted Sony Michel. So right the wrongs, draft the right Georgia running back.
Why do you have to ruin my whole day? I mean,
just lay the facts, man.
We always joke around Erickson. It's even in the Slack chat between the three of us too, where I call him that. The Charlie Day meme when he's looking at all of the map where everything is like flagged around there. But you know what? There's a lot of good connection points here. Fitzy, where's it going?
Elliott Wolf was a nice pull. Son of former Packers general manager Ron Wolf.
One, Erickson.
Yes. He dug deep there. I appreciate that. So, man, this flies in the face of the Mary Kay Cabot reporting. I would like to see Nick Chubb re-sign with the Browns. I think a lot of Cleveland fans want to see Nick Chubb re-sign with the Browns. Nick Chubb has been one of the few good things about Cleveland Browns football in recent years. It would be great to see Chubb remain a Brown for life, so I am going to have him re-signing with Cleveland.
Okay. All right, Andrew Erickson, you sold me the whole leadership thing. Of course, it's a stupid thing the Patriots did to give up the bag there to Ramondre Stevenson last year and then go bring in Nick Chubb next year. But that feels about right. Feels like something the Patriots would be doing. So there you go. Casual spending Patriots.
I mean, I'll get a Nick Chubb Patriots jersey. I'll be hyped.
I mean, who wouldn't want that? I'm just saying, when you're at the team store, pick me up one too. I am president of the Chubb Club here. Everybody knows that. So after 10 right now, here's where we stand. Fitzy has 4. Erickson has 4. No one is right has 2. So in case you're keeping score at home, now don't lose to no one is right, because that's just embarrassing, you guys. I don't want to have that happen. So let's get to the next group here. We'll be a little bit more lightning roundy for these guys because, again, this is not the top tier of the free agents. This is that next tier. But before we get to them, I want to tell you about Via, because Via is out there to help you have a better 2025. And 2025 is all about change, whether it's work, personal stuff, or just the daily grind of life. It can be hard to keep up. But here's the deal. When things get hectic, we don't have to go through it alone. Embrace the power of nature and elevate your everyday with Via. In fact, I just gave some of my Via box that I had to a friend of mine who's been using some gummies and things. He has restless leg syndrome, and he said He loves the product. He said it's better than what he was using, and it's trusted for over 500,000 happy customers. Via is like the Swiss Army knife of wellness, dedicated to harnessing the natural benefits of hemp to create high-quality wellness products. Whether you're looking to just improve your sleep, focus, recovery, add a little pep to your step, or just get a little bit of a high, Via has something for you with products ranging from 0 to 100 milligrams of THC. Via gives you the power to blaze your own trail. See what I did there? Via is also well-renowned for award-winning THC and THC-free gummies. The THCA flower, soothing tropicals, and calming drops are all available and all crafted with highly quality hemp sourced from trusted, independently owned American farms. So the best part is Via legally ships nearly everywhere in the United States in discreet packaging directly to your door. Comes in a nice little box there. That's how I got mine, and no medical card is required. So if you're 21 or over, check out our link here on the website in our description below here in the comments. Use the promo code FantasyPros for 15% off, free shipping on orders over $100. And if you're new to Via, you get a free gift of your choice. So unlock the power of nature today. It's made in the USA. And go try Via right now. Again, the link is in our website, or just go hit up the website on Via yourself on the Google search and put in that promo code FantasyPros to get your discount. All right, here we go. Let's rapid fire through some of these. Let's start with Amari Cooper. He looks done and dusted to me. I don't know who's going to want him. Pat Fitzmaurice, the floor is yours.
I know it didn't work out in Buffalo, Joe, but I don't think Cooper is washed up at age 30. The Pittsburgh Steelers need more manpower at wide receiver. Not only could Cooper help the Steelers with their pass catching shortage, he could also be a mentor to the talented but immature George Pickens, who certainly could use a mentor. And by all accounts, Cooper has been a really good teammate wherever he's gone throughout his career. He didn't complain about how sparingly he was used in Buffalo last year. He told the media he was just grateful to be on a winning team. Cooper and Pickens both have X-receiver, X-receiver, Z-receiver versatility. I think the Steelers would be a nice fit for Amari Cooper.
All right, so the Steelers, Erickson, where are you going for Cooper?
Could go to the Arizona Cardinals. That'll reunite him with the current OC, Drew Petzing. Cooper and Petzing were together in Cleveland for a few years. So, and similar reasons about him being a mentor towards George Pickens, I think you can do something similar with Marvin Harrison Jr., right? Not the rookie year we all wanted, out of veteran like Amari Cooper. It's also a dome, and it gets him out of these Buffalo, Cleveland weather. I think Amari Cooper's done playing outside. It's like, dude, put me in a dome. That's where I want to be, and Arizona can give him that.
I'll take it a step further. I do agree about the get him out of the cold weather environments, but I'm going to put him in Los Angeles with the Chargers. I think that's where he ends up eventually, and just kind of the over-the-top guy. Let Ladd McConkey catch everything and let Amari Cooper do his business in the red zone, and I think that would be the good landing spot. So no one gets the square here on Hollywood Squares. Next up, Jaylen Warren. So Andrew Erickson, Jaylen Warren, does he go home to Pittsburgh, or is it potentially a division rival? Where does he land in 2025?
I think he's going back to the Pittsburgh Steelers because he's a restricted free agent. So the Steelers can put a tender on him, and basically for another team to pry him away, it would cost them a draft pick to then get Jaylen Warren, and then they'd have to sign him. So given the class of running backs, I don't think anyone's going to give up actual draft capital to get Jaylen or to have the ability to sign Jaylen Warren to a contract. So I think he's just going to go back to Pittsburgh. The Steelers are really high on Jaylen Warren. He's looked explosive. I know last year he was banged up, but if there's no Najee, I think Jaylen Warren's going to be RB1 in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I mean, it's the injuries. That's the problem there, but certainly he's had some moments. Fitzy, got any landing spots for Warren?
If there is a team that's going to be willing to go out and get Jaylen Warren, maybe it's a team in the division that wants to steal him away from the Steelers. I'll say he goes to the Bengals to be their passing down back. Chase Brown is going to handle the early downs. Chase Brown and Jaylen Warren, that's a pretty nice 1-2 punch, and it hurts a divisional rival. So Jaylen Warren is Cincinnati.
This is tough because I actually like that. I like that call a lot, but I feel like the Pittsburgh Steelers need Warren more, and we'll figure out a way to bring him back. So point to Andrew Erickson on this one. Next up, Jameis Winston. Let's talk about Winston here for a moment. Winston, obviously, the highs and lows, the roller coaster that is Jameis Winston. Very entertaining in 2024. In 2025, maybe he's a backup, maybe he's a starter. Fitzy, what's the prediction?
The Arizona Cardinals have some money to spend. As of now, they have the unproven Clayton Tune as their backup quarterback to Kyler Murray. Winston could be an affordable insurance policy for the Cardinals. Kyler played all 17 games last season, but it was the first time he stayed healthy for an entire season since 2020. So let's make Jameis the backup in Arizona.
All right, Jameis the backup in I'm sorry, for Arizona, you said, yes?
Yes.
Okay. So Arizona backup, Erickson. Where do you want to put Winston in 2025?
Indianapolis Colts. Competition for Anthony Richardson. That's all Chris Ballard has been talking about during his offseason pressers. They need to get competition for Richardson, and I think Winston can push him. And also puts them in a situation where if Richardson gets hurt again, Ballard and Steichen can't afford to keep losing games. And Jameis Winston, again, he loses games and he wins games, but he sure is fun to watch. And I would like to see him in a dome with some of those receivers and weapons. So Jameis Winston for me to the Colts.
Yes, let's have another.
I think the Colts.
I was going to say, let's have another wildly interception-prone quarterback as the backup to Anthony Richardson in Indy.
Hey, man, if it ain't broke. I don't know. See, this is why I don't want the Colts should be in on Sam Darnold, because to me, it's like, hey, just tell Richardson to sit for a little while, see if he can, get something out of him. I know it's hard because you need him to get reps, but at the same time, Shane Steichen wants some results. So I think if I'm Darnold, if I'm Steichen, like that's the marriage that makes the most sense here, where that's a pretty good team. You drop in a competent quarterback and you're right back in the playoffs, especially in that division. I don't think the Colts one is a bad one. I don't think the Cardinals one is a bad one. I think they're both very good landing spots, but if I have to pick one, I'm probably going to pick the Colts one. I'm going to go with Andrew here again, which really, Fitzy, you got to step it up here now, because now you're playing from behind. It is now 6-4, so you got to make up some ground here. Let's see if you could do it on DeAndre Hopkins here. Another wide receiver that got traded last year, another one that disappointed everybody. So Andrew Erickson, where are we going here for DeAndre Hopkins?
New York Jets. Davante Adams is no longer on the Jets. Alan Lazard is going to be traded most likely, and DeAndre Hopkins is on the record saying that he loves Jets' new wide receiver coach, Sean Jefferson. So I like that connection there, and they need a receiver. So Hopkins to the Jets. Go.
Boy, oh boy, he's done the homework. Fitzy, DeAndre Hopkins goes where?
Carolina Panthers. Hopkins is from the Carolinas. He grew up in South Carolina, played his college ball at Clemson. The Panthers need outside receiver help, and Hopkins could mentor Xavier Legette. I like the fit.
Look, Erickson. You just got Erickson by Fitz. Look at him connecting all the dots there. I like it. I think they need some more help down there. Point to Fitzy there. You're catching up a little bit. So now it is 6-5. Let's go to Aaron Rodgers. Oh boy. Fitzy, go ahead. Aaron Rodgers ends up where? And by the way, if you don't pick an NFL team, starts his own podcast is also on the table and an acceptable answer for your prediction.
As of now, Joe, the New York Giants are the betting favorites to land Aaron Rodgers, and they're heavy favorites, minus 150 as of this morning on DraftKings. I think it makes some sense, mainly because Giants head coach Brian Daboll and GM Joe Schoen they both need a good year to keep their jobs, quite frankly. So I think a one-year commitment makes more sense than an expensive multi-year commitment to Sam Darnold. And a Rodgers signing would free up the Giants to take one of the two best players in the draft, either Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter at number 3. So Aaron Rodgers as a stopgap for the Giants.
Another guy who might not have to sell the house that he's living in. I assume maybe Aaron Rodgers was just renting, I don't know, for 2 years. I don't know his private real estate business. But Aaron Rodgers, you got a landing spot for him here, Andrew Erickson?
Tennessee Titans. That's who I think that is going to end up landing him. It's not the New York market, please. I don't know why Rodgers wants to stay in New York. It's been so fun the last 2 years.
You don't?
Oh, it's
I think
so fun.
We do.
Really fun?
I think he gets publicity there. I think he likes it. I think he is a moth to the flame for that.
Well, it's been great for his football career. That's to say the least. But if he wants to go on a positive
note, do you think the Hall of
note,
Famer wants to finish up in Tennessee? You think that's where he wants to close out?
Why would New York be any better? I like the Tennessee Titans as the pick here. So again, he can get out of the spotlight, focus more on playing actual football. And look, I know that you don't look at him as a mentoring type of quarterback to a young one, but he was willing to mentor Zach Wilson when he was first injured. So I think they're going to draft a quarterback. I think they're going to draft Cam Ward, and I think Rodgers will be there as well.
See, now this is the guy that I think should be a Raider at this point, right? Finish up with a historic franchise, get him some wide receiver help. Yeah, you got a veteran coach there, right? Old school kind of football stuff. I think it's Raiders or bust for him. I'm going to go podcast. That's where I'm going to end up with him. So no one gets the point here. That's where Aaron Rodgers ends up. He's the fifth guy on Pat McAfee show. Let's get to Javonte Williams. Andrew Erickson, let's start with you with this one. What do you have?
So if you do a search on X about Javonte Williams and the Jets, there's a bunch of tweets from me from 5 years ago when Javonte Williams was entering the NFL. I was obsessed with getting this guy to the Jets.
Wow.
So I'm just gonna look at myself as I was an oracle at the time, and I think he's gonna go to the Jets. The Jets' new GM, Darren Mogi, started with the Denver Broncos. He was there when they drafted Javonte Williams, and I don't know how high this new staff is on Breece Hall. Like, he's someone that doesn't always traditionally hit the hole. He's always trying to hit the explosive play. They drafted a bunch of running backs last year. They've been mock drafts to guys like Ashton Genty and things like that. So I think that they're going to make a move at running back to kind of challenge Breece Hall after his poor season. And it wouldn't surprise me if they bring in a veteran that the new GM knows from his time spent in Denver. So we debated Javonte versus Breece Hall as prospects when they came out together, and now they're going to be teammates. So Javonte Williams to the Jets, and I hate it.
I don't love it either. Fitzy, this is a point for you to score if you get it right.
Yeah, and I should be able to pick up the point here. I mean, the Jets have Braylon Allen. They have Isaiah Davis. Do they really want to?
It's a new. Okay, how many times do we look up and say, like, wow, what is that team doing? We want to be right here.
I have the answer. The answer is every time.
Exactly. So this is one of those situations where I'm trying to get ahead of it.
All right. Look, I know the New Orleans Saints don't have two nickels to rub together in free agency, but Javonte Williams is going to be a dirt cheap signing, probably close to the veteran minimum. And you know how teams often get infatuated with the players who've done well against them? The one really good game Javonte Williams had last year was against the Saints on a Thursday night in October. 88 rushing yards, 111 yards from scrimmage, 2 touchdowns in New Orleans. Javonte joins the Saints as a complement to Alvin Kamara.
I think you're both wrong. You're talking about collecting running backs that have been discarded. I think it's Miami. That's where he goes because they're just going to bring back a bunch of guys there. And you know what? Raheem Mostert, he's done. You know, we can't keep going with a Jeffrey Wilson experiment there. And they need bodies. Javonte's a body. No one gets the square. And they go the Jets. They got 12 running backs already. What are they going to do there?
All right, we're gonna resurface this when the Jets make a splash move, and you guys are like, oh, what are they thinking?
I will eat it. I will eat the L. That's fine. All right. The best way, of course, to stay on top of all the latest free agency news is with the Fantasy Pros News, Rankings, and Scores app. Be among the first to know where all the major free agents sign with our real-time breaking news, alerts, and player updates. Download the Fantasy Pros News, Rankings, and Scores app now at fantasypros.com/apps, or go to the App Store or Google Play. You know where to get your apps, and get it right now. And don't miss a moment of NFL free agency. Next on our list, last couple here. Let's run through them. Zach Ertz, give me a quick one. Go ahead, Fitzy.
He stays with the Commanders. He was great for them down the stretch. And Ertz has talked about how he wished he were younger so he could have more years with Jaden Daniels. Well, let's give Ertz one more year with Jaden Daniels in Washington.
All right. I like that. Erickson, what do you think?
Cosign. Back to the Commanders.
All right. Point for both of you because I think you're both right. It's a good marriage. And now that you're paying Debo, maybe the budget needs to be allocated elsewhere, but they got a lot of it. Rico Dowdle. Next one, Erickson. Where does he go?
I think he's going to go to the Saints. Reunite with Kellen Moore. Moore spent a lot of time with him with their overlap in Dallas. And I think that he knows what Rico Dowdle can do. So I'm going to say the Saints.
That's a good one. Fitzy?
Broncos. Sean Payton let it be known at the Combine that he was not satisfied with his running backs. I think Denver's going to draft one, but let's also get a veteran running back in Denver. Dowdle played well last year, and he caught 39 passes. And if you're going to be a Sean Payton running back, you need to catch passes.
Yeah, Bo Nix is going to be thrown to the running back. I like that one. Rico to the Broncos. Point for Fitzy. Dyami Brown. Where does he go, Fitz?
Chargers. They have money to spend, and they need an outside receiver.
All right. How about you, Erickson?
Cardinals also have money to spend, third most cap space. And the passing game coordinator for the Arizona Cardinals spent 2 years with Brown in Washington.
All right, I got to give it to Erickson because, once again, the homework is just there. All right, Stefon Diggs. I mean, I don't know if anybody's going to sign him. I mean, I think it's kind of a lost cause at this point here, waiting for him to return from this injury. But if someone does, Andrew, who is it?
I think he's going to go back to Houston. They're letting him test free agency, and I think that he's going to go out and say, oh, wow, there's really not a market for me as an older receiver coming off a torn ACL injury. And I think that Houston's going to be able to get him on a discount. So I'll say he goes back to the Texans.
I don't think they liked him. I get that feeling that he was well liked there.
I thought he was fine. I mean, he was productive.
I don't know. I'm talking more like among the players. Like, it just felt like Diggs was, again, Diggs. He's just a guy who just grates on people a little bit. Fitzy, where does Diggs end up?
The Patriots. And I'm going to repeat something I said on one of our shows last month, Joe. When Diggs joined the Bills in 2020, he helped Josh Allen blossom into a star. That first Diggs season in Buffalo was the breakthrough season for Josh Allen. Maybe Diggs can help Drake May make a similar leap. And I know they're not getting vintage Stefon Diggs. He's 31, coming off a torn ACL, but should be ready to go early in the 2025 season. And I think Diggs would be a pretty good fit for Josh McDaniels' system with his route running ability.
All right. Point to Fitzy. It makes sense. Again, stupid spending by the Patriots makes a lot of sense to me, which is unfortunate. So right now we are tied 8-8. No one, by the way, has 5 right behind you guys. So we're going to have to go to overtime. Bonus breaking news. Christian Kirk and Tyler Lockett. Give me landing spots for those two guys. Let's start with Christian Kirk, who just got released. Fitzy, what do you have?
Oh, man. I'm going to say Buffalo because, and I wish I could properly credit this, but someone on Twitter mentioned that Josh Allen and Christian Kirk are tight. And with Amari Cooper expected to walk, I think they're going to need someone to replace Cooper, an extra body in their wide receiver room. So Kirk hooks up with his buddy Josh Allen.
I like the Buffalo one. Erickson, what do you have?
I'm going to go with Pittsburgh Steelers. They were rumored to be in the trade streets with Christian Kirk last year before he broke his collarbone. So I think that we would have seen him in a Steelers jersey had he not gotten injured. Now that they get a chance to sign him for free. So I think he's going to be a Steeler.
I think both are good there. I'm going to go Buffalo has a little bit more of the need. So I'm going to go there with Fitzy on this one. Last one, Tyler Lockett. This is for you to tie and be respectable, Andrew. Tyler Lockett, where does he go?
Raiders with Pete Carroll. Lock it in.
All right. What do you think, Fitzy?
Game theory optimal here. If I've got a 1-point lead, I got to go with the Raiders to lock in the win. But yeah,
God, you got gamed by Fitzy at the end. A point for both of you.
It's
what
just too logical. Too logical, Joe.
It's a W nonetheless. Look at that. Oh, Fitzy at the end. You got gamed. This is what my dad used to always say. Youth and skills is no match for old age and treachery. It's a good lesson. It's a good lesson to learn here. Andrew Erickson, Pat Fitzmaurice, great stuff. A lot of fun. And of course, we love to hear from all of you out there in Fantasyland. Drop your comments below. Where do you think some of these guys are going to land? We want to hear your predictions. Take your favorite predictions here from our list too and drop them down there. Or, just give me your favorite player and a favorite landing spot. I don't care. Drop it in there. Let's have a conversation about these predictions before these guys start flying off the board. Gentlemen, great stuff as always from you. And of course, you can follow us on social media, Fantasy Pros, stay on top. Use the news app, as we mentioned before. And, of course, subscribe to the YouTube channel and ring the bell till it goes ding for notifications. You are part of the 2025 fantasy football season with us from start to finish. That'll do it for us. But the story of the game goes on. For Andrew Erickson, Pat Fitzmaurice, I'm Joey P. We'll see you next time, kids.